Um, let's get started. So what I will do is I will take you through a little bit about my history with emotional intelligence, as well as talking to you about one main topic of emotional intelligence, which is building rapport, building connections with people. And that's something that I will take you through in a little bit more detail today, right? So obviously you can see my screen now, and let's get started. It's a great day to get started as well. So the first thing of emotional intelligence is that your life actually, your experiences in life will actually determine how emotionally intelligent you are based on the number of problems you've had in the past. So problem and challenges actually will subconsciously trigger this skill that you're already born with. The beauty about emotional intelligence is you can learn it, whereas IQ, some people say you're born with it and you can break. EQ is a subject where we can really start to ponder it and learn it. Okay, so that's the first step. So before I start about that, let's talk about me and who I am and where I come from. And it starts way back. I'll start when I moved here. I moved to Australia in 1985. And I don't know if you can see my screen. There it goes. Imagine in Australia in 1985 was a very different place. I was born in India. And I moved from a city of 4 million people to a country town of 20,000 back in the mid 80s. So there's a bit of a culture shock, okay? And as a young person living in India, I did not know that people were different because you assume that everyone spoke like me and looked like me and dressed like me. And when I came into this country, which is which is my home and I'm an Aussie, I'm a proud Aussie now, but I would tell you that things were very difficult for me because I had to transition from a culture to another culture, a culture that was very much based on principles of a lot of rules, right? Being an oldest boy, I also had a lot of rules imposed on me, expectations, I guess. But I moved to a small country town called Dubbo. At the time, it was, you know Dubbo pretty well. I'm sure some of you have been there. It was a rough town for me because when I walked in there, I didn't realize that being different would provoke responses. So it was very much that I would come back from school, sometimes bloodied because people would hit me after school when I used to walk down the park because I spoke differently, and I didn't know what bullying was, but I went through all of that for about 6 months, and I had to find a way to survive, connect. And one of the things that I've learned this skill very early in my life was, how do you find a common bond between two people when you are new, when you haven't just met, right? And the way it happened for me, and you guys will know, but this discussion is very much an informal one where you can actually talk as well. I like that in my sessions. But what do you think was a commonality between India and Australia back in the mid 80s? What kind of things could you connect on?
Probably cricket, I suppose.
There you go. So guess what? It was cricket.
Good stuff.
So in Dubbo, when I went in there, the cricket teacher, the coach, said, "Hey, you're from India, so I'm assuming you know how to play cricket," stereotype, as well as you probably can't bowl pretty quick. I bet you're a spin bowler, right? But guess what? It was true. I was a spin bowler, and I could. I used to play cricket in India as well. And in the next 6 months, I represented the school team, and in the next year, I was a junior school captain of cricket. So cricket brought me together, right? So what I want to tell you is that I didn't know this, but I was actually having some self-awareness skills when I was very young, which is one part of emotional intelligence, is self-awareness. How aware are you of your own feelings and emotions, and how do you handle that, right? But at 11 years old, you can imagine this young boy coming in, had to kind of understand that I wasn't feeling good about it, but I had to connect and feel safe. So that skill I built very early in life. But cricket was my savior, and I went on to play grade cricket for Blacktown for many years, till I was in my mid 30s. So cricket brought me together. And now, if you talk about India and Australia, there are different commonalities, right? There's food, Indian cuisine, and there's Bollywood. So many different things. Trade, that's the first thing. Think about the times when you had to connect with somebody in your life in the past and you were aware of your feelings. Well, that's part of emotional intelligence. Let me move a bit further on into my life. So when I finished school, I moved to Sydney after about 2 years in Dubbo. So I've been in West. I'm a proud Western Sydney boy, just like Joe is. one of the things that happened when I finished high school was, again, being Indian parents. An Indian boy, when he finishes high school, is given two choices, guys, and it still happens. There's only two careers potentially you can go into that your parents would kind of get you into. Guess what they were, right? Well, one was a doctor, and the other was an engineer. So these professions were considered to be the something that you would aspire to, right? And if your son or daughter does it, when you've done your bit, and the community is proud of you, and they say, "Wow, he's got a 99.9% TER," he'll be happy. Don't worry about it. He can just do what he has to do, engineering or medicine. Well, guess what I did? I did engineering to help to please my parents and go with the norm. But something in me felt like I wasn't wired for this. It didn't turn me on. The resistors and capacitors and parallel processes wasn't interesting for me at university. I went to Western Sydney University at Kingswood. And one thing I noticed was that I was not wired that way. And I knew that I wasn't passionate about it. But one day I walked into a lecture because I was just bored of engineering. And there was also more women in this lecture. So it was an incentive for me to walk into this lecture. There was more girls there, so I thought I'll just walk in there and see what happens. It was a business lecture, right? As soon as I walked into this business lecture, I just felt a different vibe. They were talking about at the time entrepreneurialism back in the 90s, which I didn't really know about. And this lecturer was telling us that, money is made, but people make money. And I'm like, this is people's emotions make money. And I was really fascinated by it. And I sat with the whole lecture. And then I went to the second lecture and the third lecture. And after a week, I decided to change my course. I went from an engineering degree to a business law degree. But I was so worried about my role in society and my expectations that I didn't tell my parents. I basically didn't tell them what I was doing. They thought I was doing engineering till a week before I graduated. I sat them down and I said to them, "Hey, that engineering degree? Yes, we're very proud of you." I said, "Well, I hope you're still proud of me, but I've actually done a business law degree." And they just looked at me and they went, "Why did you not tell us?" And I said, "Look, I was scared. I was actually worried that I was going to let you down." And they cried and they said, "No, we're very proud of you no matter what happens." So what I went through as far as emotional intelligence was concerned is this another skill called self-management, that you have to manage yourself and others around you for some expectations, right? And that is what part of EQ is. So I was self-managing my own expectations at a young age. And I decided to do what I wanted to do. And over the next 30 years, my life has changed in a better way because I was doing business and law. The next step is completely different to studying and the left brain. It's about love. I had a bad track record of falling in love and staying in love. When I was young, when I was 21, 22, I got engaged to this girl. We had a wedding date planned, and we went to choose the wedding cake, which is very expensive. But as I walked out of the wedding cake place, she looked at me and she says, "I can't go ahead with it." And I said, "What do you mean the cake's too expensive?" She goes, "No, the wedding, I can't do it anymore." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, you love me too much." And I went, "What?" She goes, the way you love me, I can't comprehend it because I'm not used to that love. I said, "Isn't that what love is? Is this about loving someone?" What I realized then, and I've done this in the past where it's my second marriage, and it's a very happy marriage, by the way. I always felt attracted to people that needed help. When there was a bit of love missing, I guess, is where I was attracted to. But what I realized is that love has different meanings to people. And when someone says to you, "I can't love you like you love me," I was understanding that not everybody measures love a certain way or a certain expectation. So I guess what I was aware of in the social way was people are different to me, and that's okay. And I had to live with that. So I was actually also building the skill of becoming socially aware, which is the third part of emotional intelligence. Now that I know that everybody has different meanings of love, and actually, if I ask you what is blue, you might say a different color blue to me, right? So we have to understand that a word has different meanings to each other in different ways based on our past experiences. And then comes my career. 23 years in corporate life. I was in finance because I finished a finance degree, but I was very lucky because I was always in business partnering roles. I was in the middle of all of the marketing team, the sales teams, the operations teams. So I was getting to understand how politics worked in big companies like Arnott and McCafe, McDonald's. So I've done a lot of that kind of work in the first 23 years of my corporate life. But I realized that there was something that was happening for me. I was really naturally good at this, where I was creating results by bringing people together and kind of negotiating. Hey, the sales and marketing teams are always at loggerheads, right? Sales says the budget for next year should be 10% more. Marketing says, no, it should be 15. And then there's a big fight, right? And the finance gets involved. I'm sure you've been through this before. But I was able to bring people together and go, let's make it 10%. I was actually negotiating outcomes. So, and that was something that really made me leave corporate life. So I've been out for about 5.5 years now. I'm actually consulting. I manage a very beautiful non-for-profit in Western Sydney called Breed Australia as well as part of what I do. But I was actually getting into the understanding of relationship management. Imagine your life, how it could change if we can manage our relationships better, right? So that for me was the fourth clue of where I was. And that's what I started to master as well. So I just want to ask you, as far as emotional intelligence is concerned, before I get into the topic, what is your gift in this life, right? And I'm not asking you to go and find your purpose and tell me what your purpose is. It took me 40 years to figure mine out, right? But I want to tell you how I came across my purpose. To become emotionally intelligent, you have to know who you are, take stock of who you are. And the marketing folks are very good at this, and they'll brand companies, right? But you as a person is also a brand of some sort that people identify with, right? So let me tell you the way I found mine. Since I was young, since I went into university, since I went into corporate life, since I was consulting, the common thing that came back about me, and it's not a boast, it's more about the feedback I got, was two things. Hey, Emmanuel, you're very passionate. You're energetic was the other one, but you're very inspiring. I really love your stories and you inspire me. And when I heard it from 1, 2, 3, 4 people, I get it. But when I'm hearing it from a multitude of people, the same thing, I went, well, it actually resonates with me. And if I'm providing that inspiration, which is an energy, by the way, right? Well, that's my brand. When I want to inspire people. So I came up with this thing about inspiring being one of my core strengths as in a gift of my energy, right? The left-hand side is the energy that you give to people. So that could be something like a communicator or passionate. What is it about you? What do people say is your gift, right? You all know that because you've heard it many times. And that's how you can use that to find your purpose on one side. But the right-hand side is what you do. This is not about your role in the company. It might be, for example, the smartest people I've met in companies are secretaries, by the way, because they keep people together. They're the gatekeepers. They're the ones that actually organize things, right? Management, yes, we have to do things, but think about the people that are behind the scenes working together. But for me, even though that I was in cricket, which I used to coach a lot, even though I was when I was at Gloria Jeans for 5 years as a franchisor, I saw the inequality of how a franchise system works, where franchisees were losing a lot of money, losing their livelihoods. But I started to coach and teach franchisees how to build mindset and profitability as part of my work at Gloria Jeans. And ultimately, I'm a teacher. No matter what my title's called, general manager or whatever it is, I like teaching. I love teaching. So my role, the way I find my purpose is that I'm an inspired teacher, right? So what is that for you? Think about that before you get into emotional intelligence, because you need to be really grounded in your own identity for you to understand that, all right? So just a bit of a thought for you to think about. So what is it for me? My purpose came from my pain. It really did, right? My purpose came from all the stuff ups in my life because I learned from that. But in a nutshell, what is for me, if you ask me, is to connect to a higher power. I'm not talking about a name of a god, but I do believe in that there's an energy out there, and that energy gives me wisdom, and I draw from it every day, and I get inspired by it, so I can use that wisdom and the intuition and inspiration to guide and teach others, so they can achieve their goals and dreams. Simple. It doesn't talk about what I do for a living. It's really my holistic purpose in life. And when I say it, I get emotional. If you have a purpose in life, you have to be emotional about it, because the heart has to be part of this, right? So just thinking about it, food for thought for you. What is your purpose? What is your superpower? What's your gift? And how do you change people's lives? Right? So you got to know that first. But before you do it, I want to give you some facts because I love this and I want to tell you something. We were all geniuses. I don't care how much IQ you got in school or what test you came under. You are a brilliant, innovating genius. Why do I know this? It's because you got a brain. Everybody in this place has a brain right now in this course, okay? In this little talk from me. Well, what is a brain? Well, what does it do? Right? I love neuroscience. This is one of the areas I really get into. Well, your mindset is your brain in action. So your mindset, Joe or Phil or Kerry, who is here, you have a specific mindset compared to others. But the way I define mindset is how your brain works in your life, how it interprets things, right? So for me, your mind is your brain in action. I'll give you some facts here for the numbers people. Your brain processes 400 billion bits of information every second, Kerry. Every second that this is we are faster than a supercomputer here, right? But you're only aware of 2,000 bits, very small amount, less than a percentage that you're aware of your feelings, your environment, your time. But your brain in the background is supercharged and it's doing a lot of things you're not aware of, right? There's an intelligence that keeps us alive, even when you're sleeping. You don't say when you go to sleep, hey, you know what? I got to stay awake to keep me alive. I got to do all of those things, right? Your blood in 1 hour pumps 380 liters of blood. So I want you to feel this greatness in yourself for you to understand emotional intelligence, right? So there's a lot of things going on behind the background. 10 million cells are made every second. Wow. I know that people that have had surgery recently or have been to hospital, I know that some of you have. The fact that you're recovering means that you're producing more better cells than bad cells. That's what recovery is. So 10 million cells are made every second in your body, believe it or not, from your brain, right? The chemical reactions, 100,000 chemical reactions per second. Who said we're not geniuses? We all are. Doesn't matter your IQ. You have inherent power in you to change yourself and the world. So let's remember that before we get into it. Emotional intelligence, guys. So let's talk about it. Who has a house, owns a house, rents a house? Doesn't matter. You have a roof to live in. All of us, right? If you please, I hope so, right? But guess what? There is another house that you all have that I want you to think about. And it doesn't cost you money, but you own it. It's called your emotional house. The emotional house is your house that lives inside you. It's your house where your soul lives. It's a house that has all your secrets, your feelings, your thoughts. And this is a house that makes you who you are. Nobody can see it. It's subconscious, right? So I want you to think about your emotional house right now. We've been through lockdown. It's been a hard last couple of years. How is your house right now? What's your emotional house made up of? And is it feeling good? Is it happy? Is it in a state of anticipation, or is it anxious or worried? And none of these are wrong or right answers. And I'm not asking you for the answers here, but think about it. The state of your emotional house will determine the state of your life in the future and how emotionally intelligent you become. There's no point us saying I'm highly emotionally intelligent when I feel emotionally down. It doesn't work. It's energy, right? So think about your emotional house. To do that, I want to introduce you to two concepts. You already know this, but I'll give you my own quick version of it. You've got two minds, okay? Well, the women say that they have four minds, right? But I don't really know the thing. But let's just keep it two minds. There's the conscious mind, which is a part of your brain that has logic and reason that right now you can see, feel, and touch, right? This is only about 20% of the weight of your brain, right? It's the part of your brain that sets your goal, right? It says that I wanted to be here with Emmanuel for an hour. You decided that through your conscious reasoning, right? Because you had other choices as well. But this mind only has a 20-second memory span, okay? Short-term memory. And remember the times when you don't know what happened like 10 seconds ago or 5 seconds ago? It happens sometimes, right? Not when you're having a few drinks, but in general, well, because your conscious mind is overloaded. This is where it's overthinking is happening, that you lose short-term memory. So the first thing I want to take to you is you have a conscious mind, mainly the left-hand side of your brain. The second part of it, which has everything to do with emotional intelligence, is your subconscious part. which is the predominant part of your brain, which is 80 to 85% of your brain mass is in this, but it controls 98% of your behavior, pre-programmed. I can also tell you that 80 to 85% of your thoughts today were the same as yesterday. So if you had the same thoughts of yesterday and they sub-programmed in yourself, you have 15% chance to start new thoughts, right? Or slowly erase the older ones. But I can tell you that this subconscious mind is 400 billion actions per second. But here's the part of this, I want to just really get into this. This is an emotional brain. It only sees pictures and actions. It does not see numbers. It doesn't recognize that 100 means it's good or a 0 means it's bad. It doesn't understand numbers, doesn't understand logic. It sees pictures and it believes pictures, right? And this brain is also called your emotional brain or limbic brain in the back of your head. This is where long-term memory resides. And it cannot tell a truth from a lie. If you say it enough times, it believes it. It's a part of you that you really have to watch. It's a part of you where change happens. And emotional intelligence plugs into this mind. So let's talk about it. Some definitions I'm going to give you, right? And I have my own. But in a nutshell, emotional intelligence is about your capacity to understand and manage emotions. That's the simplest form. How do you understand your own emotions? How do you manage it? But it can also be a person's ability to manage his feelings so that those feelings are expressed appropriately and effectively. Daniel Goleman in 1995 was the one that kind of brought it all together. In fact, emotional intelligence kind of was mentioned in the 60s, some in the 80s, but Daniel Goleman in his book, Emotional Intelligence, kind of summarized it. It's like, how do you manage your feelings so that your feelings are expressed appropriately and effectively, right? That's a clue. So this is also a way to guide thinking and behavior as well. But I have my own version of it after many years, and I'll give you mine. It's a sentence that I like you to read, and then I'll put this in yellow is where we focus on. For me, emotional intelligence is a science of understanding your conscious and subconscious mind and how you perceive yourself in your outside world. How you perceive yourself will be how you perceive your outside world. We know this, right? It is about connecting you to a deeper level of intelligence, which is your subconscious mind. So you can, that comes from the feeling, the energy of the body and the mind, and also how you read into others' energies. I'm not saying you have to become a psychic or a tarot card reader or anything like this. It's about you reading other people's energies and vibrations, right? It's the ability to practice empathy and connection from your heart. Heart has to be part of this, not just your mind, your brain. So you connect with yourself and others so the world moves forward in a positive, sustainable, ethical manner. This is my definition. I'm actually writing a book, which will be out next year. And there's a chapter on this, but this is the way I see emotional intelligence come across, okay, to people. But the yellow parts is what I want you to think about. So there are four, well, as Joe talked about, there are different types of intelligences out there. I'll just pick some of them, right? The main ones we use. Of course, all of you know the IQ, right? So we're not here to compare how big your IQ is compared to mine. We're all very smart people, but I can tell you that IQ is all about, it's all about your ability, your learning ability. Are you academic? How are you academically, right? But it's a left brain function. And by the way, guys, I'll be sending you this presentation so you can take notes as well afterwards, but I'm glad people take notes. When people take notes and actually write with a pen, the energy of that feeling goes into the paper and you become grounded to it. So congratulations, Don. I know you're writing away. I love this. So IQ, as everyone knows, and yes, everyone, thank you, Phil. Well done. Yes. So IQ is very important for us to prove ourselves in different fields. Of course, if your brain surgeon has not have the ability to understand theory, then I'll be worried. IQ is needed all the time. Don't discount it. It's important. But the opposite side of that is emotional intelligence, and it's called EQ, which is emotional quotient, right? So I want you to think about what that means. Yeah, it's okay, Gavin. It's good to have you, mate. Look after the baby, but still, you can still listen to this. That's great. Emotional intelligence is EQ. It's the understanding of yourself and others to build better relationship. As simple as that. But this is on your right brain. It starts on your right side of your brain. And guess what? Your beautiful heart. Somewhere between there has to be a relationship for you to be emotionally intelligent, okay? And it's also using your conscious and subconscious mind. there's also another couple that I want to talk to you about. One is it's a recent way of looking at it. It's called the SQ. It's your spiritual quotient. It's not about you saying I'm a hippie or anything like that. It's about recognizing intelligence beyond our five senses. Touch, feel, smell, all of that we all human beings have. Well, what about tapping into intelligences from what you can't see, right? And this is what's called a spiritual quotient, and it brings the IQ and EQ together. It's a new evolving field. I'm very interested in it, and something that I will also write about in the future as well. And then I also wanted to tell you AQ is called the adaptability quotient, and it's used by a lot of big firms out there. The Microsofts, the KPMG uses it, Tesla uses it. And what it is, it's the ability to determine what is relevant, overcome challenges, and adjust to change. It's resilience, in other words. So this is about how resilient you are when things get tough. And that's called AQ. And this brings into left and right brain and your heart. And it's a very interesting topic, especially relevant right now where the world's going through. But today's focus is on EQ, right? That's what we're going to be doing. So once we know that, your emotional house, think about it again. Now, what is happening for you on a weekly basis? So what are the things that are happening for you that really makes you feel a certain way? And I've got a way to very quickly tell you this. This is one of my this slide is probably the most profound slide for me as far as understanding emotional intelligence, but no one talks about it. Everything that happens, everything that's ever happened, everything you ever see, everything you touch came from a thought. Okay? The thought is the most fundamental part of human beings for you to create something. You can either create chaos from it, or you can create beauty from it. So what are the thoughts that you're going through on a fundamental basis that rules your life as part of your emotional house, right? So guess what happens, guys? Bit of science. When a thought happens, Phil, in your brain, you release a chemical. And you, by the way, you have over 5,000 chemicals you can release in 10 minutes. We're all geniuses, okay? Well, when a thought happens, a chemical is released in line with that thought, and it becomes a feeling. Okay, so a feeling is a chemical that's in your body that comes from a thought. So when you think a certain way, you feel a certain way, don't you? When you think of something that you love, someone you love, or a pet, or a food, well, do you feel good about it? Of course, because the thought of love gives you a feeling of love. The chemical feeling of love then goes into our body, into our sympathetic nervous system, and we act a certain way. So there's a loop here, guys. Thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are linked. Go back to the thought, and you'll find out the root cause, right? You remember that times when in the mornings you're having a bad day, and the day gets worse and worse and worse, and the traffic lights start appearing in front of you, you're getting stopped everywhere. Well, your thoughts are literally in a spiral of chaos, and we behave a certain way. Road rage, anger, all comes from this. So you have to understand the thought patterns is what makes you highly intelligent. How do you manage that? So to understand that, I will give you three parts of it. Your personality is made up of three things. It's your self-esteem. Self-esteem, you've heard of that term. Self-ideal and self-image. So what are the differences, right? Self-esteem is really about how much you like and value yourself, right? Do you like yourself as a person? That's very important, isn't it? Well, yeah. Self-ideal is a little bit different. Self-ideal is a person that you admire, the person you want to be. Who are you aspiring to become becomes your self-ideal, right? And the self-image is the way you see and think about yourself in front of others. So these three, self-image, self-esteem, and self-ideal, forms the triad of your personality. So think about how those areas are in your life. That'll be related back to your emotional house as well. So I'll give you a bit of a quick pre-check before we get into the components of it. Rate yourself out of 1 to 10, but don't give me the answers, but think about it for yourself and see where you're at with this. The first one is peace of mind. How you feel happy, content, and peaceful with yourself no matter what is going on around you. Out of scale of 1 to 10, where are you in that scale? That you feel happy, content, and peaceful with yourself no matter what is happening around the world, right? Think about that. And just give yourself a little kind of a number between 1 and 10, right? Because it'll give you a bit of a later. The second thing that comes back to this is you can't be highly emotionally intelligent unless you feel energy in your body, because you'll get drained, right? So you have how are you in the terms of having high levels of health, energy, and physical well-being out of 1 to 10, right? Because it's not about just judging yourself, but it's about just taking stock, being aware. This is about self-awareness, right? That's why I'm asking you these questions. Nothing to trigger you or anything like that. The third question I want to ask you is relationships. Happy relationships around you, that you feel loved yourself and cared for, and you have people or pets in your life you love and care for. Where are you in that scale, right? It also includes pets, by the way. Maybe not robots yet, but definitely humans and pets. One day there'll be robots as well in houses. But the relationships, the quality of relationships is really going to determine your emotional house and where you go with it, with emotional intelligence. The fourth part is meaningful work. And this is not just about working for somebody else. It's about what you do outside family and house, right? You love, and I use the word love, you love what you do and you put your whole heart into becoming better in that area. I know there's a lot of people here who are very passionate because I know them here in this group. And I would know what I can tell you they rate highly in this area, right? So what is that for you? And then the last part, the fifth question is about self-actualization. This is important because you have to have some level of, let me go back to that one, that you're feeling that you're becoming all you are capable of, like your dreams and goals, right? And you're feeling like you're reaching your potential and growing and learning more every day. Where are you in that scale? Do you feel like you're growing in the areas of life where you're aspiring to be someone, and that you're reaching your potential, or there's a bit of gap? And even if there's a gap, at least you're acknowledging there's a gap, right? But you're becoming more every day. To become more every day, you become a new person. You have to create a new personality for you to become a better person, unless you are already there, God. But we're human beings. So we have to think about this concept of it as well. And the last one is freedom. Feeling free to make your own decisions in the way you lead your life. I'm not saying killing others or breaking rules, but I'm saying, how free do you feel in your life to make your own changes in life? So those questions are very important to understand and take stock of when you do it. Okay, so think about it and see where you're at with that. Congratulations if you rated yourself very low, because you got a chance to get better. And congratulations if you get yourself very high marks, which means that you have a little bit more gap, but you can still work on it, right? There's no right or wrong here. But emotional intelligence is made up of 5 main areas, okay? This is a theory part of it. The first one is self-awareness. And there's parts of this which I'll take you through, but empathy is what I'm going to go into really quickly. Self-awareness skills, we can learn that. That's a recognition and understanding of your own thoughts, feelings, and actions. I've been through this before with you. So think about, on a weekly basis, what are the predominant thoughts that go in yourself, goes in your mind, that makes you act a certain way? And I would take, if I was you and you really want to be good at this, I'd spend a week at the end of the night going through what you went through during the day, the negative thoughts and the positive thoughts. I promise you'll get a trend. You'll get a trend very quickly on which predominant thoughts are stopping you. And I'm not saying you can change those thoughts in a day or a week. It takes about 3 months to 9 months to change your pattern, but at least you recognize what those thoughts are stopping you from being who you are. That's part of emotional intelligence. Start doing that and you're mastering one part of it already. The second thing is social skills. Being able to create and maintain healthy relationships. You know what? In uni, I saw a lot of smart people. As in corporate life, I saw a lot of smart people, but they could not get results. They got high marks, but they didn't have any friends. They could not get decisions being made, and they couldn't influence decisions. Your social skills are so important. No point having high TERs and ask whatever they call the numbers these days. You need to have social skills, and emotional intelligence helps you with that. The third thing is self-regulation of emotional intelligence. This is the ability to regulate emotions and actions in changing environments. In other words, resilience. Guys, the last 2 years has been one of I don't think we'll ever see anything like it again. We lived through it. We're still here. Congratulations, you're smiling, right? You're champions. Because why? I promise you, next year will be good. We are going to have divide in society, unfortunately, but we have to be accepting of others, and we can make a good start. Look, the trends in economic trends are saying that employment is going to grow next year. Retail confidence is going to go up next year. Just be positive, right? And self-regulation is important. The fourth part, which I find the most important part, is empathy. Empathy is the ability to build rapport and make others feel at ease, right? And this is a topic I'm going to go into and give you some skills today to help you with it. And the last one is decision making, the ability to make responsible choices, but at the same time be accountable. These are the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence in summarized in a nutshell. They talk about 8, but I've given you like the top 5. The other 8, I'll kind of put into this. Okay, so self-awareness, social skills, self-regulation, empathy, and decision making are the main ones, right? So let's talk about rapport, because this is one pillar that I want to get into, because this is a pillar that you can actually learn and practice. It's a lot of fun. When you build better rapport with people, you build better connections, which means you get better results. So what does that mean? What's the definition of rapport? Well, rapport is the ability to enter someone else's world, to make them feel that you understand them and that you have a common bond. It basically means Sheila, Phil, Kerry, we silence our brains, Joe, and we go into the, if Phil's speaking to Sheila, Phil has to feel what Sheila's feeling. Or when Sheila's dealing with Phil, Sheila's got to kind of feel what Phil's feeling without Phil knowing she's feeling that, not making it awkward, right? So rapport is a science, it's a technique that we use to build relationships with others. And it's a core fundamental skill of emotional intelligence. And the simple fact is, people like people who feel like they're like themselves. That's why we have little groups on Facebook that we kind of hang out with, and community groups and things like that. So people like to hang out with people that feel they're like themselves. The word is feel. They may not actually act like it, but they feel like it. And yeah, Gavin, you're right. This is the most important part of your life, your role with Employment Support Mate. And so with Sheila, and so I'm sure with Nova Employment, Joe is a networker. He builds relationships all the time. And if he needs to build rapport, I mean, I know he's successful because he's very good at this as well, right? But rapport is also something that you need to understand. And I'm going to give you some bit of fun. I'm going to send you this, and I want you to do a quiz when you finish this. Not in this little part. This is a DISC profile. It's a simple DISC profiling tool. People might have already used it. It takes about 5 minutes. It's on that link there that I've got, but I'll send you the link. It basically, you can look at which part of the spectrum you're in as far as who you are from a behavioral point of view. It's not a personality profile like a Myers-Briggs. This is a behavior point of view on how you are with people, right? So the first part is, it's called dominance. It's called a D personality type. I'll give you an example without triggering anyone's emotions, right? A world leader that was there before. Donald Trump had a very high D personality, a dominant personality, right? Which meant direct results, firm, strong-willed, and all about results, right? That's a D. So you would think about it as a salesperson, possibly, right? In a company. The I is the opposite. It's influence, and I can tell you that Joe is very good at this. Okay, Joe, this is more a marketing trait, and this is about influence. It's I. So a person that scored very highly on this as a world leader when they took their test was Barack Obama. Okay, the people's person, but also optimistic, enthusiastic, lively. They do it through communication. Communication is their skill. Whereas a dominant person will want results and they'll do it themselves. Then we have the opposite end of it called the C, which is the consciousness, right? The conscientiousness. This is the accounting types of people. Like, I'm an accountant, by the way. These are the people that are into analytical, they're reserved, they like preciseness. They're more like introverted people. I don't know what happened to me. I turned into extroverted accountant, I guess. But they're very systematic. Process is very important. They're private. So that's a C type. And the S is I'd always call this Mother Teresa. This is the person that is nurturing, coach, teacher. Anyone that's a teacher has a high level of this. Patient, accommodating. They're very nurturing. They're here to nurture others, right? But they don't like change either at the same time. So I wonder what you are. So do this quiz, and you can get some more insight about you in this part of it. But rapport, my friends, are very much there are 3 elements to it. Building rapport means that body language comes first, no matter what people tell you. People judge you from your physiology, your body language. Okay, only 38% of communication happens from the tonality. Tonality not being your accent, but the tone of your voice. Right? When human beings shut their eyes, of course they don't, because we see each other. Well, if you shut your eyes, your tonality is the number one thing that triggers you off, not your words. So in order of effectiveness, it's your body language. It's a way you come across to people. I'll give you an example. If somebody's depressed and you're talking to them, what you'll notice, if you can see me, is that usually they are slouched, okay? And the shoulder's going to turn forward a bit because there's so much energy that's not there. They're tired. And if a person that's really optimistic goes to them with this broad-shouldered, stand-up type and starts talking to them, they're going to lose connection straight away because the energy of that person that's out there doesn't match the energy of the person that's not there. So that's not building rapport. You just don't think you can coach somebody in this level. And the people that do mediation will tell you this, is that you have to kind of balance that level back for you to actually become like them. I'm not saying become depressed forever, but you have to show the empathy of being what it feels like, feeling the pain. So body language is so much important. So one of the bigger communication styles, guys, the first one is seeing, visual. Think about which one you are, by the way. How do you like to communicate? One is hearing, auditory. One is feeling, which is called kinesthetic. And the other one is smelling and tasting, okay? Less known, but people actually focus on that as well, right? Some people are very focused on smells, okay? Very sensitive to smells. And some people are very sensitive to tastes. They talk through like they've tasted something, right? So the most common one is visual, followed by kinesthetic, right? So what I can tell you, this is a way you can learn from rapport. I'll give you some clues. If you're a visual person, Phil, this is what you'll be doing in general. You'll be very erect, and your eyes are usually up, right? You will breathe from the top of your lungs. This is in general from research, okay? Yep. They are the people that sit forward in chairs. You know, the ones that are like always like fidgeting and sitting forward. Well, that's usually a visual sight person you can actually recognize, okay? But they're very much great by seeing pictures and they like seeing things. And they also speak a certain way. The way they see, their sentences might sound like, that looks right. I get the picture, see what I mean? So it's always related to the sight, okay? So some clues for you to think about. The other side is the auditory person. These people are very much into the hearing, right? They like to hear things in detail, but there are also people that are very much sideway eye movement people. In NLP, the research has shown that they like to move their eyes sideways. So next time you sit with somebody, don't like freak them out, but try and figure out which one they are by looking at it, right? Do it at home before you get into work environments to do this. But they also talk to themselves sometimes. Well, actually, most of the time they talk to themselves, by the way. True fact. People that are auditory like to talk to themselves, whispering to themselves words, right? So if anyone is talking to themselves, I'm pretty sure they'll be auditory, usually, unless they're rehearsing the school play or something, right? But they also have things like words like sounds good to me, clear as a bell. We're on the same wavelength. The third one I want to talk to you about is this kinesthetic style of people. Now, this the touchy-feely people, the ones that talk about love a lot. They're very slow speaking, but they're very peaceful. The kinesthetic group are very much that respond to physical touch and reward. Not very good during COVID, unfortunately, because social distancing is there, but they're very much about breathing from the bottom of their lungs. Okay, and their stomach will go in and out, as you can see, because they're using the heart chakra and that area down there to talk as well. They talk about things like love. You'll see, I feel good. You know, I cannot grip. You know, that's all about feeling, and it felt right. So that's how you can focus on understanding who these people are as well. Something to think about. So look, I won't go through all of it. I'll send this to you. But visual speakers are very rapid speakers, right? Not quick in words, but they just like to talk in rapid ways. They also describe things in great detail. Visual people. Think about which one you are, right? The auditory person actually talks like music, I've noticed. They're very rhythmic in the way they speak, with tones up and down like octaves, right? And they love making lists. The list makers are usually the auditory type people. The kinesthetic people will talk slow and will pause a lot. And if you interrupt them in the middle of it, you will break all the rapport you built. So you have to wait very patiently and listen. And when they finish one sentence, the other one starts in about 3 seconds. Just don't forget, you can't cut them off. So you got to be careful about this. So there's different ways you can do it. I'm actually running another course in, I think, late November, which I'll be putting out there for a one-day workshop, which I'll send details later. But I'll be going through this whole thing. You'll have a quiz. You'll come out feeling, you know who you are and you know how to relate to other people, right? So a whole day workshop that I'm planning to do in about 6 weeks. So again, some techniques you can use is what's called matching and mirroring. Listening, active listening is most important in emotional intelligence. Listening without your thoughts overruling you. How do you do that, right? Because we all want to teach, especially men. We're really bad at this. We always want to fix the problem. Women just want to be heard. My wife always tells me, I don't want you to fix my problems, just listen, right? And I'm working hard at it because this is something, a listening skills men need more, I'd say, definitely. I'm not trying to be, trying to segregate people, but it's something that's inherent in us as well. So there are a few things we can talk about, and I'll be going through that in that course as well. But the main ingredient is empathy. Empathy is about putting yourself in someone's shoes and being part of that. And using rapport is very important. Okay, so one of the things you can do, just think about it. Take notes, guys, over the next week on what thoughts and feelings are leading you to have reduced energy in your life, right? Think about that loop I told you about, thoughts, feelings, and actions. And don't judge the thoughts and don't put it down because it's part of you. It's part of your beautiful self. Just figure out why you're getting those thoughts and try and slowly shift that to positive thoughts is the way I would say that, right? So really work on that. It takes about a week to get the right number of emotions happening. Now, how emotionally intelligent are you? Well, I've got some fun for you. After I finish with this, when I send you the links, you can do a little quiz online. It'll give you the 4 or 5 aspects and it'll show you the areas where you don't cheat, all right? First answer that comes in your brain, do it. Don't just go, oh, I want to get this and I'll pick red or blue. No, whatever comes to you in mind, you got to do it, right? So I've got 2 versions of it. Have a look at it when I said this to you and do it on your own time and see if it relates to you. So 1 hour is nearly finished, guys. Look, I could go on forever because it's so much fun, right? But I will tell you a little bit about us, Breed Australia. And I'm not sure how you found us, in which forum you found this webinar. I know TAFE also have been actively promoting it. But Breed Australia is a non-for-profit. We're a charity. We've been here since 1996 in near beautiful Blacktown. And we help small business startups, okay? People that are looking to move away from transition from a corporate life into a business life, or people that just are entrepreneurs in general. We help them with shared office spaces in Western Sydney. We're at Nirimba, okay? And we've got about 29 offices. We have about 20 that are filled at the moment. We've got 9 available. And the cost of the offices are about 40% less than what you'd find in similar places outside in the area. And what we do is we help our tenants, and I also coach and mentor them on a one-on-one basis as well. And we have training programs such as these for complementary programs that we run. So we're very much part of helping communities through education, learning, and entrepreneurship. How can you help Breed? Well, just hang out. The fact that you came and said hello is a good thing. You can, if you know anybody that's looking for offices in Western Sydney, please refer them to us. If you want more training programs like this, we're happy to run it because we're a charity. We can run this for no cost as such, right? So join our website. There you can join our member group. You can become a member of Breed for $10 a year. Sheila's a member as well, and you get to vote on our board. Who sits on our board? We're a members-run organization, right? So if you're interested in becoming a member of Breed for $10, please, my phone number's there in this presentation as well. So that's what we're doing at the moment. We're about to go through a rephase in Breed, where we're about to relaunch Breed to a new level, a new exciting way. And what we're going to focus on are 3 areas. One is youth. How do we get emotional intelligence out into schools, right? Resilience into schools. Yeah, great. Because that's needed right now, guys. We need to do that. So we're working with that. I got a grant I successfully got a grant last week to run some programs to schools. Sheila, I'll tell you about this after this meeting. So if you're interested in either running programs, your own programs for schools, look me up and we can talk about it. You can donate, you can volunteer, guys, you can become members. So really looking forward to your help with this as well. I do have 3 workshops coming up if you're interested. On the 16th of November, I'm running these are all one-day programs. I'm running a online program. We can't get face-to-face yet, but it's going to be online on mental resilience. This is about understanding how your thoughts, feelings, and actions rule your life and give you strategies to build your emotional state for you to be a more empowering person. Okay, so that's on at the 16th. There's a special price there for people that are in this course, as well as people that are interested. It's $99 for the whole day. You can hang out with me. We get to talk. You also get workbooks. and we create a new, better version of ourselves. That's the first one, if you're interested. The other one is this topic, blown into a day. And I'll go through every single aspect of this. What you'll get out of that will be basically become a better emotionally intelligent person, mainly in a business sense at this stage. Okay, this is more focused for businesses that want to become emotionally intelligent, for leaders. Okay, it's on the 30th of November as well. Again, the same pricing. There's a website there, QR code if you want to go. And the last one is I wanted to wait till they call it the 1st of December when everybody can go out, all of us, and without judgment. But I would say that it's a great time to think about goal setting and goal achievement. But the beauty about this, I'm going to use neuroscience behind this. I'm going to use neuroscience to understand why people, for example, go. Remember, like, in January, guys, everyone decides to lose weight. Okay, I don't know what this is about, right? The resolution that I'm going to lose 20 kilos, right? The gym memberships fill up in January, and then by March, half the people aren't going back to the gym, and the gym memberships are still being paid for. People aren't going back. So why is it that people do that? That they want to lose weight, as an example, but give up after 3 or 4 weeks? Well, it's not to do with the goal setting, because the goal setting is conscious. It's a goal achievement, which is a subconscious patterns we face. And this is what this class is about. Okay. So 3 courses if you're interested to come and join. I have nothing else to say except that I want to have a quick discussion now. I know it's getting close to 3 o'clock, but I wanted to kind of get some feedback among you. If it helped you, a lot to cover in an hour, I guess. But I wanted to get you to understand the main parts of emotional intelligence, focusing on building rapport. So some feedback would be great. What you got out of it? What was the one thing that you felt like was something that you felt that you could use moving forward? I guess is the question. Who can volunteer? Because I'd like to get feedback.
I'll have a go.
Bill, yes, go for it.
I was very impressed because I only vaguely knew about what it was. So you've taken me from not knowing much to feeling as though I've got a reasonably decent beginner's understanding, and encouraging me to find out more. So it was really good.
Thank you, Phil. I really appreciate it. And then, like I said, emotional intelligence, it's readily available online on YouTube. I would say Simon Sinek. I might even send you guys some links as well that I follow. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars to learn, because you inherently are emotionally intelligent in the first place. But I will go back to Phil and everybody the point about your emotional house. If that house isn't in order, no matter what you study or what you're going to do, it's not going to come. It's just one work. So you got to work on yourself first, right? Empower those feelings that are great for you, and forgive the ones that aren't serving you. Let's not be harsh about them, but let's slowly change. Is what I'm saying to people. Transform slowly. So thank you, Phil. It's great to have you. Kerry, do you have, again, look, Kerry, I want to say Nova Employment, great place to work. And thank you for all your service you guys do the community.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's a very busy place. And you were talking before about business coming back. It has, our incoming employment opportunities have just skyrocketed in the last few days. This week, it's non-stop phones, people looking for staff. So things are improving everywhere. So that's
fantastic. Great to hear, and I'm optimistic.
Yeah, for me, from today, it gives me a bit of inspiration to work on myself. I supervise and manage a lot of staff, so just be a bit more empathetic and how to go about that. I think that's important, and so I've written down all my notes here to how I'm going to work on myself.
Well done, Kerry.
In order to help others, yeah.
Helping others is the main thing. So thank you so much for joining us. I really, one more time, and Nova, keep up the great work. You guys are doing amazing. Joe, do you have any comments? I know that you're a master of rapport anyway, so I'm not teaching anything you don't know, mate. So yeah.
Look, from my perspective, one of the things that people lack as small business owners, and speaking as a small business owner, is the opportunity for professional development. Something that's going to cause you to sit back and reflect, in this case, about myself, emotional intelligence, how I feel, the way I react, all those sorts of things, even working out where I sit, in the paradigms of certain things. And we don't get enough time for that. So something like this, which is, it's an hour, no big deal. It's a good thing to have. And from my perspective, I try to bring this in the group in a smaller way, where we have a knowledge program to give people that little bit of knowledge to help them learn something. So no one no one walks away from a meeting without having gained something in some way. And if I can do that, I'm succeeding. But it comes back to yourself as well. What do you do for yourself? And the answer to that mostly is not much. So an opportunity like this to sit down and listen to someone like yourself going through something that relates to all of us, and I can immediately feel compatible with all of this, is really good. Yes, I'm aware of it and I use it and it's part of me, but I seldom sit back and reflect. And that's what this has caused me to do. Just thinking about a couple of things that you said. Where do I sit? What sort of person am I? What's my secret power or whatever? I'm thinking, yeah, I actually thought about that a few years ago. My superpower, yeah. I had that very same conversation with myself a few years ago, before I decided to do what I'm doing now. And I thought, why am I always the go-to person? And then thinking about it for over a period of time, it's because my superpower is being able to see the future. No crystal ball, nothing like that, but you strategize. If you do A, B, C, and D, you will get to E. If you do A, C, and F, you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
And so I project as to what might happen, which is why I've had a 25, 30-year career in crisis management. But you foresee what's going to happen and you can advise people on the route to take. And that's why I became the go-to person.
No, that's great. And Joe, look, I think you really summed it up. And I think it's about sometimes stepping back, because we're so, you talk about doing half, teaching, and you're trying to also do certain things. Like, we have to take stock of our own internal energy levels, right? And I'm talking about, and that's the questions. The reason I asked the question wasn't to trigger you off in any way, but those are the pillars of actually building a foundation for you to become intelligent, emotionally intelligent. That's the reason I asked that. But thank you, Joe, for sharing. Don, any quick words, or did you enjoy that? I know you're taking notes. I saw which makes me very happy.
Thanks, Emmanuel. Just validated a few things that are part of our process as mediators. But one of the things that we always try to do in mediation is to get beyond the facts of whatever dispute we're dealing with, and try and encourage people to identify the feelings that drive their behaviours. And I guess in a way that is really asking people to identify their own feelings and sort of tap them into their emotional intelligence. So it sort of validates that part of our process. So
right.
Yes.
Thank you, Don. I really appreciate that as well. So remember, guys, the thoughts is what's going to rule your life at the end of the day, the quality of your thoughts, right? Gavin, thanks. I know you're watching kids as well, mate. It's always good to see you. I hope you enjoyed the session. But yeah, so I can't hear you, but you're on mute. But is there anything you want to quickly add before we leave?
Yeah, no, it was really good. In my day, I'm kind of similar to what Carrie's doing. I'm dealing with a lot of people that are in a position where they're in the system on Centrelink, but they're actively, looking for work and they want to improve their situation. And a lot of my day-to-day is slowing down and actually sitting with someone with no agenda and just hearing their story and really building rapport based on a respect for who they are as an individual, and listening to their story without judgment and without an end goal, and really getting a feel of who they are, and then how I can take them to their next step, whatever step that might be. So yeah, it was really good. I'd love to expand this out into a full day workshop. I think, rapport building and emotional intelligence is one of the primary factors in this role, and it's the magic that gets candidates across the line when they feel supported, when they feel someone is in their corner that's actually listened to their story and hasn't judged them. Then they're far more likely to trust and be willing to listen to what you're doing, with them going forward. So yeah, it's key.
Fantastic. That's great feedback, Gavin. Keep up the great work. Let's keep in touch. But it's a subconscious process mostly. Okay, so it's not like you have to. If you consciously do it, you'll get caught out. It's something that you learn and you pick up from. And when you use neuroscience behind it and you understand how the brain works and your heart works, it really puts things together. And that's what I'm going to be bringing into my workshops as well. So thank you, Gavin. Good to see you again. And Sheila, obviously, we're going to have a meeting after this. Thank you, Gavin. But thank you for joining us. Very quick one before we say goodbye to everyone.
One of the things that you linked up for me was the listening without judgment is the core of active listening. And regardless, I think all of us have that in common. We all want to either inspire, teach, or be of service to others. And getting a house in order and being able to listen without judgment is probably going to be the key to what's going to be successful in this future that we're all trying to build together. Because
Fantastic.
2019 and before that is now history. We're never going to get back there. Yeah.
No, that's right. It's very important. So, the active listening skills is something that I had to work on because I'm always trying to solve problems. And I've realized after my second marriage that this is a skill that I've mastered. So look, guys, beautiful people, geniuses. Thank you today. I will be sending out an email with the notes, with the links as well. And anything you need, you can just, my direct email is there. You can always keep in touch with me as well. And I look forward to seeing you guys again soon.
Thanks, Emmanuel. Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
Emmanuel.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you,
you
everyone.
all.
Bye.
Thank
See
you
you
so
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you
See
again.
sweetheart. Bye-bye.
See you, cutie.
What a
Hello.
cutie. Okay.
Bye, everyone. See you later. Thanks, Phil.
Are you
Bye,
sending out? You
Bye.
sending the video that you recorded?
Yes, I will. I'll send a link to the video as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Talk to you soon.
All the best. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Take care. Bye.
I just invited Jane to this
Yeah.
chat rather than the other
Yeah.
one because
Let
we're
me
already on here. Did you need to go grab a drink or have a break or